Hi everyone and welcome back to the channel. This is Carmina, astrologer with Vedic principles and reader with the cards of truth. So today I thought that we would do another video in the series of looking at the cards one by one, taking them through every suit and also explaining the numerological meaning and the correspondence with astrology. If you want to see more videos on each of the cards according to the cards of truth principles as well as astrological and numerological principles, you can check out the playlist that I made entitled Cards of Truth. Okay, so let's get to it. Today is July 29th. It's Sunday. We just finished with the total lunar eclipse that was, the longest total lunar eclipse in 130 years. And, eclipses have their effects for a long time, but they are especially felt a month before and a month after. So unless you have some trigger transit happening in your chart that has self factor involved with eclipse, I don't think something happened to you on that exact moment of the eclipse, but something has been happening to you for the past 2 years because this series of eclipses of the nodes in Aquarius and Leo has been happening, and especially it's been intensifying in the past month. So why am I talking about the eclipse? Because today we are going to be talking about number 8. And number 8 corresponds to the North Node, according to Vedic principles. It's a manifestation of the North Node, which is called Rahu, the dragon's head. So before we get into the looking at each of the suits, I just wanted to talk a bit about the North Node's nature, since, it's number 8, it corresponds to the North Node. And I think it will be interesting for you. So the North Node is considered to be a cruel graha. It's considered to be a cruel point. The North Node is born because of the moon's path, right? So it's a mathematical point. It's not an actual planet, but the North and South nodes are just mathematical points according to the moon's path. So it's very much connected to the moon. And it is said to have a preference to eclipse the moon. And the moon is the mind. The moon is our subjective nature, our opinions. In the mind is also where the ego resides. So we are very defensive about our opinions, about our values. So what the North Node does when it joins the moon is like it brings a little chaos to the mind. But that chaos, it's not just for chaos sake. It brings some chaos so that the person can be put on their path. So the North Node is considered to be, has this chaotic nature, has this more eccentric nature, but it's also said to be intelligent because it knows what it does. Although it appears, from the outside that the person is pretty erratic, especially when they are running the North Node time period or when they have a North Node transit, that is actually something that is happening due to the person having certain fears, certain hidden things and certain confusions that they magnetically attract into their lives so that they can handle them, so that they can solve them. So the North Node has this interesting quality of, it's kind of luring you towards something and you think you want it, but then you realize that it's not, what you thought it was, and you're like confused and a bit disappointed. But the purpose of the North Node was to put you in that path, not to give you that certain thing that you think that you want. So I'm talking about this so that we better understand the 8 cards, because number 8 numerologically, it relates to fulfillment, but it's not the fulfillment at the 6, which we already talked about. It's not the social validation fulfillment, which is also very nice, but this is a bigger fulfillment because it's actually an inner fulfillment. This is the big deal, right? But you can only achieve this bigger fulfillment after you get past number 7, which we also discussed. Number 7 is a tough one because number 7 is where we lose things, is where we have to end things, is where we have to realize our limitations, our body's limitations, for instance, at the 7 of spades, where we get heartbroken at the 7 of hearts, where we realize that our ideas don't work as much as we thought they did, our philosophies, our ideas, our principles. That happens at the breakdown of the ideas happened at the 7 of clubs. And then at the 7 of diamonds, when we realize we have to, let go of certain behaviors regarding our financial management, the way we manage our finances, or the way we handle our practical skills, the things we learn practically. So number 8 is an interesting one. It's a node. It's something, more esoteric than the visible planets that we talked, about, right? From 1 to 7, from Sun to Saturn, the nodes are something that you can't see. You just know it's there. It's a point, and we only become aware of it during eclipses. This is, in a nutshell, some things about the North Node, because the North Node manifests the energy of number 8. And when you see in a spread, for instance, in a year spread, you see that the ecliptic is number 8. You also have to check where the North Node is in that year spread, because it's going to be very important for your path that year. And you also have to check the North Node card. I'm talking about the software, the Cards of Truth software. Okay, so number 8. When we get, for instance, an 8 of spades in a spread, what does that say to us? The black 8s, of course, they relate to the Chariot in the major arcana. So they relate to some sort of journey, the black 8. So always the black cards let us remember that they require more effort. We have to put more work into it. While the red 8s are more gentle, they require, if we can say that, they require more receptivity to the world. But the black 8s, they correspond to the Chariot. The red 8s correspond to the Hanged Man. So when we get an 8 of spades, it means that we have to take the inner journey. After having some sort of psychological breakdown at the 7 of spades, we realize that, there's nothing else to do but take the inner journey, retreat, see who we are, see what we really want to do. So it's a very intensely spiritual, psychological card. It invites us to do some soul searching. If this 8 of spades has some malefic influences to it, let's say it has Saturn, Pluto or something, or if it gets reversed in a manual spread, it can also show that the person will be stuck. So this being stuck can manifest as being imprisoned. I had an example like that. Once I looked at a person's chart who was imprisoned and they had this 8 of spades, or it can relate to being in a coma. So in a way, the life is being still in the body. The bright side, as I said, is the self-exploration, but the dark side would be, feeling stuck if you get a bad 8. Okay, so after spades, we have hearts, the heart suit. We know that the 7 of hearts is some sort of emotional disappointment, and the best thing to do when we get this 7 of hearts, as we discussed in the 7 video, is to let go of our egocentric need for, emotional fulfillment. And then if we do that, we can get the greater emotional fulfillment, which is the 8 of hearts, of course. This is realizing that the people around us, they are nice to have around, they are nice to have in our lives, they are emotionally, comforting, but the most important thing is to nourish the love that you have within for yourself. So self-fulfillment. If the 8 of hearts gets, some really cruel influences, or if you get it in a difficult spot or reverse, you know that it's hard for the person to let go of the victimization at the 7 and to be self-fulfilled. So whenever you see, for instance, an 8 of hearts reversed, you know that the person has to take a step back and go to the 7 of hearts and work on their, letting go of some behaviors or some attitudes that are not working for them. And of course, as I was saying earlier, the red 8s relate to the Hanged Man card in the major arcana. So it's, it's like being suspended, being like in the wind and not really having control. So that's really important for the 8 cards. It's like you're not really being in control. You're just experiencing something and you find fulfillment with it without controlling it too much, because the nodes, they take you on a journey. They don't ask whether you want to go or not. Okay, so the next 8 is going to be the 8 of clubs. The 8 of clubs is also called the travel card, and it's especially related to air travel in this day and age. So for instance, I had this year that is almost ending for me, age 34. I had the 8 of clubs as the natural sequence of the year, and I've done more air travel than, I don't know, in the past years in total. So I think it was very interesting how that really panned out for me. Of course, I had other indications in the card, the year spread, but when you see the 8 of clubs, it can be a journey, but it can also be a very spiritual card. The 8 of clubs can also be the spiritual teacher, the person that doesn't need outer validation for their ideas. And because this person is so confident and is really manifesting their individuality, this person will attract other people around them. The 8 of clubs individual ideally. And I wanted also to say about the 8 of clubs that in the 52 card spread, it's a fixed card. So no matter how many times you make the quadrations, this card will not change place. So it has this anchoring quality, this 8 of clubs, this fulfillment with one's ideas. It's like a greater fulfillment with your ideas, with your philosophies, like doing what you like without expecting some validation. Of course, if this card is reversed or has some, adverse influences, it doesn't mean necessarily that you won't have fulfillment, but it will be delayed. at best. It will be delayed, or you know, you have to work harder for it anyway, because it's a black card. Okay, next we have the Eight of Diamonds. The Eight of Diamonds is really a good card because the North Node is said to be granting wishes. But of course, it will grant wishes not just for you to have like some material fulfillment, which is a diamond suit, but it's in order for you to step forward towards a more important path. And this path in the diamond suit is related to self-fulfillment, as in self-worth. You are very aware of the value that you have within, and you can manifest it practically in the world coming from within. So the Eight of Diamonds is usually also practically in the cards. It's a very good financial opportunity. If you have a nice Eight of Diamonds in the Sun card, in the Moon card, or, you know, in a nice placement, and the other planets are helping, it's a really good financial card because it's the self-fulfillment, the self-validation that comes from a person when they are very confident with their own self-worth. So yeah, that's a really sweet card to have, the Eight of Diamonds. So yes, I guess that's about it for the eights. What else can we say? Yes, the North Node, you know, it can bring you success. The eights can bring you success, but first you have to master number 7. The 8 and the 9 can only be accessed after we get past the difficult situations brought about the 7 cards. So that's why they're tricky, these cards, you know. You have to get over yourself, you have to get over your ego, you have to get over victimization and just move forward. And that's when you're going to enjoy the fruits of the 8 card, which is fulfillment with the self mainly. And also it will give you, you know, the 8 will give you these lessons that it's not the goal that's important, but the journey. I know that is something that is very often used, but it's very true, especially in the case of this 8 of clubs, which is this fixed card, this anchoring card, which shows that, you know, the journey is important, not necessarily the fame or the money or the love from other people. What's most important and what's most, you know, individual and personal and difficult and easy to access at the same time is within. So I think that's, in a nutshell, the lesson of number 8 as brought to you by the North Node. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give a thumbs up because it tells me that you want more videos in this series. I'm also gonna do an overlying series soon. And check out my website, yourstars-align.com, under courses or readings or blog posts, and let me know what you think. Do you have any 8s in your birth spread? Are you an 8 birth card? Okay, talk to you soon. Bye.